3/4 of the way into the season, let's do a deeper dive into yesterday's game and end the season. What is up, Fin fans? Yes, we are 3/4 of the way into the season. So I brought my buddy Jason Sarney on to talk about the 3/4 of the season that we've gone through already. And this time I got it right because we only got 4 games left. So technically, yes, we were in the 3/4 of the way to the season. Also, we're going to do a deeper dive into yesterday's victory over the Cincinnati Bengals with that 19-7 win. But before we jump into that, we got a new Patreon. Howie Pilardi, thank you so much. $8 Patreon. He is now one of the mods. I actually made him a mod live on the stream Friday. You guys can go back and check out the best clips of that. I put that video out last night. You can go check that out. And if you want to join the Patreon, it's linked below. I'm going to be doing a special video for you guys this week, and I'm going to be doing a special video for you guys on Christmas. Also, if you're an MVP Patreon, I'm actually going to try to work it out that we play Madden. I'm going to add a little Madden tier to that MVP status so we can play Madden together and hang out that way. So I got a lot of cool things. If you want to join the Patreon, it is linked below. And real quick, we had all those ejections yesterday in the game. A little bit of an update from Ian Rappaport. No one's going to be suspended. Xavier Howard, Devontae Parker, and Matt Collins. No one's going to be suspended, but expect fines. I think we all kind of saw that one coming. But yeah, that's about it. And like usual, though, you want one of these? You want the Don Shula one? You want some t-shirts? You want some cool pins? All that stuff? Be sure to check out patchvibes.com. Use the promo code DDW. Get yourself 20% off and get some cool things like this patch. They even have the 97 logo, which is my favorite. So be sure to go over, check that out. Now let's get to Jason, and let's talk about the 3/4 of the season and the deeper dive into yesterday's game. I got my buddy Jason here from the Fin Maniacs. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing great. 8-4, first time since I graduated college, Doug.
Feels good. It feels good. Yeah, the last 2 wins might not have been as a big of a blowout as we wanted, but it's 8-4. I'll take 8-4 every day.
Any day of the week.
So I got Jason here. It's the first time I have a guest on here, so you should be very privileged to be on here for a deeper dive video.
DD Dubs, I'm honored.
First guest. So it's a combo. We're going to be doing a deeper dive. Also, we're 3/4 of the way through the season. I did my head. I don't know if you know this, Jason, but I flubbed up on my half season. I did it a game early.
There's no flub. Doug doesn't flub.
I did it week 8, even though we only played 7 games at that point. But this time I'm good because we have 4 games left. We're 3/4 of the way through the season. So what me and Jason are going to do is we're going to talk about stats. We're going to talk about yesterday's game a little bit more. We're going to talk about how the season's going. We're going to be talking some good stuff. So let's jump into the season first, right? 8-4. I'm going to look at where we're ranking, right? Points for. Offense, 16th ranked. Not too great, but not too bad. Defense is 2nd ranked in points for. Defense, it seems like the last 2 weeks kind of hurt us when it came to the offensive points for because we barely, 19 and 20 points. It wasn't great when we were scoring 47 on the 49ers and stuff, but holding these past 2 weeks to only 10 points definitely helped us with the defensive points for. Then we have the passing. We're ranked 24th, not too great again. Defense, 15th, middle of the pack. We got that bend not break defense. And rushing offense, 27th ranked, but we all knew that was going to be doo-doo. And same with the defense, 21st ranked. What do you think? What do you think about those stats?
The stats are always fun. I love stats. Everyone loves stats, but they're like not the tell-all, end-all, be-all. They're a reference.
Yeah.
And then you have the eye test, and then you have the intangibles, and then you have the this and the that and the other thing, and you put it all into a blender and you try to get some creative mishmash that everybody disagrees with. And whether you're either right or wrong, and I was dead wrong yesterday, Doug, and it happens, and I'm alive. It's okay. And on a win, I'd love to be wrong, but we have to make our peace with things. And this is what I've learned. We're in the holiday season.
Do it up.
We're gonna, show some faults here. I went against everything that I've preached, and I was impatient. And that was my fault yesterday. And I thought that the offense looked a little sluggish to start, which really, you look at the statistics, and anyone who went 11 of 19 for 111, why am I saying boo?
Mm-hmm.
If Jakeem Grant catches that ball, Could be a touchdown, could be 40 more yards, could be 60 more yards, you know? So yes, you'll look at some of the throws weren't great. Did I worry about the thumb? Sure. Would I have been happy to have seen Fitzpatrick and whatever? Maybe. But the fact of the matter is, bravo to Tua, because he came out after, you're down by a point to the Cincinnati Bengals.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't a terrific offensive performance, but he came out in the second half and he blew it away in a good way. And he was doing things when you watch back on tape. I didn't see the all-22 yet, Doug. No one, I don't think, has. It hasn't come out just yet. But, you at least look at where the head's going. He was hitting a receiver in the flat, having a couple of linebackers maybe getting that, nuance. All right, 2 in the flat in a row. And then now he's just going to check it off, and then he's going to hit Parker, on a great first down play where he was just taking what he can get. Yep. But that's like opening up some other plays. So now he's learning how to play chess, and now he's learning how to set up other plays. His cadence, his indication of his voice, has been improving. And listen, on a win, I will be wrong any day rather than on a loss and be right. So very happy with the way it happened. It's going to be ugly though, Doug. We're not going to see 38 points a game every week at all.
No, and
it's going to be.
I don't even think that's really on the quarterbacks, because even like we saw, Fitz was in there against the Jets. We only scored 20 points,
Mm-hmm.
I think it, and I was asking people in the live stream yesterday, before I get to that, back to what you said originally, people have their opinions. For you to have that opinion isn't outlandish, especially because against the Broncos, they did sit him down for 2 series. It's not outlandish. People need to take a deep breath and relax, because it's football. We're allowed to have our opinions. People hate Tua. People to this day still hate Tua, and I defend him, and I get flack for it. It is what it is. I get called the Tua lover. I make excuses. It is what it is. People need to take a breath. But you know what it is? It's also Twitter, and Twitter is one of the most toxic places on the earth. So to those people, poo-pooed you, sir.
I'm in YouTube land right now.
Exactly.
Look at the festivities. I mean, how could you not be happy? This is fantastic.
But back to what you were saying, yeah, you saw it, right? And I think that with the offense especially, I think the fact that without, and I say this all the time, and people always get on me, oh, you'd like to make these excuses. It is the truth, though. Without having OTAs, training camp, mini camp, and preseason, you don't get that conditioning. That's why we have a lot of ACL injuries, a lot of quad injuries, a lot of hamstring injuries, and a lot of guys are starting to get fatigued. It's now the last stretch of the season. You haven't been working out. You had 2 weeks, a lot of fatigue, and you're seeing that because the offensive line for the first half of the season, even for the first 9 games, give or take, was up there, was really moving people, gave Tua enough time to throw, and it seems like they're getting tired. But I will say this, and I do like Eric Flowers, and I do understand we're paying Eric Flowers a good amount of money. Solomon Kinley moving to left guard and putting Jesse Davis at right guard looked very, very good. What do you think about that?
I agree, and it was right off the bat. Kinley, I think, moved the line or moved a defensive lineman, I think, 12 yards. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, he's a player. These guys are players. Now, the personnel's not the issue anymore. You hit the nail on the head. Rookie wall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's 3 rookies, linemen, hitting a wall together and still not being in the lower 20s.
Yeah.
This is a plus. So these stats that you're showing, some of them are great, some of them are but the overall product, I don't care about yardage on defense. Here's a stat. Can I throw a stat out there, Doug?
Do it.
I mean, this was said yesterday on the broadcast, but, we had the tease of this last week. 18 straight games with at least a turnover. Leads the NFL. I mean, that's remarkable. And that's Xavier Howard mainly.
Oh, yeah.
And all he has done yesterday is started his fourth straight pickoff streak. So just think about that. For any cornerback in the world will take one with 2 straight.
Oh, yeah.
Even 2 straight. Someone else has 2 straight interceptions in a game. I don't know who, though, Doug. I think he played for UTEP.
Does he wear 40? Does he wear number 40?
Yes, he does.
But picking off of what you were saying, right? 8 interceptions by Xavier Howard. When they throw at him, he's letting up a 48.9 passer rating. I don't understand why people are still throwing at him. Please keep throwing at him. You're dumb. Also, talking about the rookie wall, 10 rookies started at least one game for us this year. That is the most in a season. You know Brian Flores loves his rookies, and especially if you are performing in practice, you are starting. And we noticed that because Jesse Davis was sitting on the sideline to start the game, which means Kinley and Hunt were really playing well and practicing well. And, you know, Brandon Jones is that's a steal of a pick if you're telling if you're asking
he
me.
moves faster on the when I forget exactly what play it was. I think it was just on like a block. I think it was maybe on one of the returns and the Lawson return.
Yes.
I think he was just running down the field. And then I'm like, wait, I'm on fast forward. No, I'm not. Oh my God. And Jones is a different level of speed on the field.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you're right.
He's dangerous. And speaking of Agba, right? 5 QB hits yesterday, 4th most in the NFL. The dude has 53 quarterback pressures on the year, 4th among defensive ends, 8 sacks he's tied for 8th in sacks and hits, and tied for 14th on run stops with 23 run stops. I'm feeling like signing Emmanuel Agba was a good idea for this team.
You don't get, I mean, look, we love our numbers.
Yes.
All right. We love our numbers. Equipment managers, people inside the organization, they have like the keys to the vault, right? And other individuals in the locker room say, you want number 91? Do you know what that means? And that was Cameron Wake's number.
Yeah.
And he was the last person to have 3 sacks in the game other than Kyle Van Noy yesterday.
We'll talk about him.
So yes, we will. But that was a tease right there. But the fact of the matter is, you know, you got to respect Agba for having that. Wow, he got number 91. But who cares about the number, right? Wrong. With the Dolphins, we care about everything, you know. And he's doing that number proud. He is not just a Pro Bowler. He is an all-pro contender.
Yep.
If he has a strong 25% to finish out the year, he could be a long-term answer to that next great pass rusher for this franchise, which we need. We're looking for.
Yeah, and we had, and that's the thing. I think a few videos ago, one of the comments of the day was, "Who do you think we should get in there for Pro Bowl?" And then we noticed that Xavier Howard isn't up there, and certain people aren't up there with Pro Bowl votes. I don't give a crap about Pro Bowl. It's all pro that really matters to me. But you bring up Kyle Van Noy, 3 sacks yesterday. The man was all over the place. 5 tackles for a loss. That is the most in the game by an NFL player all year. 5 tackles for a loss. And I had a few people were saying, hey, what's going on with Kyle Van Noy? Is he another one kind of like Jordan Howard that we overpaid for? And he was like, I'm going to shut you guys up today. And I'm going to make you guys eat your words. The defense as a whole against the Jets, 55 snaps. You think it couldn't get any better? They only had 52 snaps yesterday, which is you got to give it to the offense. Once that second half came out and they started just moving it down the field, was a thing of beauty. Absolute thing of beauty. Let's see, I'm looking at my stats. So more Eric Rowe. Let's talk about Eric Rowe.
Oh, absolutely.
5.2 yards per target, 2nd best in the NFL by safeties. 22 run stops, 9th best by safeties in the NFL. He's another guy that should be talked about. Pro Bowl, but again, Pro Bowl's popular.
You know what it's like, Doug? Boom. It's like, when you're in like high school and like they have the speeches for class president and the person who lays out the fiscal year, they're not going to win. The popular kid who jumps off the roof at the party is going to win. Who cares about it?
That's true.
Who cares about it? You got this guy making a speech. Yeah, I'm going to raise all this money. And then, you have Santima's high school football rules and he gets all the votes.
With the beer bong first.
Right. That's the vice president. The beer bong.
Yeah, 100%. But you looking at this defense, the defense is what is winning us these games. The offense struggles a little bit here and there. Even the games where we scored over 20 points, a lot of it was, scooping scores, pick sixes, putting us in good field position. This is a defensive team because if you looked at the offseason and if you looked at the draft, a good 80% of the people we brought in were defensive players. So you can expect next offseason, come the draft, you're going to get a lot of skill players, you're going to get a lot of offensive linemen and a lot of offensive players. So we're talking about the defense a lot. Let's talk about the offense. Tua Tagovailoa. 99.4 passer rating on the season. That is the 11th among all quarterbacks this year. Do you know where he ranks among the rookies?
It's got to be one.
Number one.
Gotta be.
Number one. Justin Herbert didn't have a good game yesterday against
No.
the Patriots. But again, and I made the joke, I joked about this on Twitter. It's funny because you had to deal with it on Twitter. I made this joke on Twitter. I put the Chris Evans laughing GIF and I said, oh, I guess Herbert's a bust. And I guess I should have said sarcasm afterwards because people didn't really understand
Wait,
that.
did you put an emoji?
Because
it's not valid unless you put an emoji.
So people took me too seriously saying, but you're going to get on two. No, man, that's my point. Herbert had one bad game. That doesn't mean he's a bust. That doesn't mean he's a bad quarterback. And it was a bad game. Tua never even had a game that bad, even against the Denver Broncos, throwing 2 interceptions. It was a bad game. They're going to have bad games. Relax, people. But Tua, good game. Gesicki, 4th in receiving yards, 11th in receptions, 8th in touchdowns among tight ends. 0 sacks yesterday. The last time this offensive line gave up no sacks was against the Chargers. Both times, Tua was the quarterback, and 263 second-half yards. And that's when we had 3 rookies on the offensive line. So looking at this team, it's very promising, especially when you got a head coach that's going to run across the field and try to fight the other team.
You got to love that. You got to love flow. You know what's better than sitting on a bench and doodling? is Coach Flo going after a defensive line. That's what I'd like.
He was mad.
Well, yeah.
And I thought there was another coach that was trying to hold him back. That was like the like security guy. He was like, and he had to put his body into Flores to move him back.
People did their jobs yesterday.
Yeah.
People definitely handled the situation. But Gesicki, real quick.
Yeah.
This is a position in Dolphin lore, the tight end, where if you ask who's the top 3 tight ends in Dolphin history, you might say
Randy McMichael.
Right, but what about Keith Jackson? But what about, it's like there's guys who had like 2 years, 3 years, Charles Clay. There's only 4 with Mike Gesicki who have had 500-yard seasons. It's like ridiculous. But there's been so many tight ends that have been great overall players. You mentioned Randy McMichael. Love Randy McMichael. And you can go down a list of very serviceable overall tight ends who maybe mixed with 1 or 2 others just situationally that were fun. Anthony Fasano, who doesn't love and remember Anthony Fasano?
I love Fasano.
You got to. But Gesicki could be a star. The Dolphins have never had a legitimate Pro Bowl type star at tight end. And this is what we're seeing. We're seeing the maturation of Mike Gesicki right now.
Yeah, and as the season goes on and as his career goes on, you're starting to see, like you said, he's maturing and he's understanding that, okay, maybe I don't need to be the best blocker in the world, but if I could just hold my block for at least 1 more second, it'll make a big difference. And he is doing it. He is actually becoming he's becoming that, Travis Kelce type, that, those big top tier tight ends that just throw the ball up to him. That one catch, which I will say, Tua led him a little bit too much, could have got him injured. But the one-handed catch, just the thing of beauty. But this team, going into the last 4 games, right? We got to take on the Chiefs. Then we got the Patriots coming to town. Then we have to take on the Raiders on a short week. And then we have the Bills. Some people don't have us making the playoffs. They have us right now we're sitting at the 6th seed. They have us with like a 50-something, 51%. They have the Ravens with like a 47%. They don't have. They look at the last 4 games and they're saying Dolphins are going to lose probably 3 of them, end the season on 9-7. They ain't making the playoffs. What is your thoughts on that? Looking ahead to the last 4. Now we're not going to predict wins or losses, but because we're going with the Brian Flores, 1 game at a time.
Yeah, exactly.
What is your thoughts on the last 4 games? Do you see there being a potential with the Dolphins making the playoffs? Or do you think, hey, I just want competitive football and I'll be happy because we exceeded my expectation?
This is the classic conundrum of us Dolphin fans.
Yep.
It's do we want the now or the later? And why not both?
Yeah.
That's my honest answer, Doug, because it could happen. Because as you mentioned, the draft this coming April is the bells and the whistles. It's the Christmas tree, toys. It's all the fun. It's the big shiny bicycle. in your receiver, your separation creator receiver.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that's the later. But the now is, are we mathematically in it to win the division? Heck yeah.
Yep.
Are we mathematically in it to fall short of the division and still sneak into the playoffs and the second wild card? Even more so, yeah. But you can win the division. And the last game of the season, I think I said this about a month or two ago even, will be a playoff game. Week 17 is going to be a playoff game for the division, one way or the other. And the loser could be either out or maybe even get that secondary life. But here's the flip side, could go right back to the same spot. It could be a rematch in the first round of the playoffs. So I don't want to get there yet, Doug, until they take care of business against Kansas City, because that's a twofold game. Can they hang with the big boys? Can they keep themselves not just alive, but forget in the hunt, like there, not in the hunt, under the line, looking for jockeying for position. You got to be one of those teams, and they're getting there. If they fall short, are we going to cry? Quickly. Quickly. Because they're not there yet. Next year and the year before that is when you're looking for the big shiny trophy.
And it's funny too, because looking at it right now, the Dolphins are put themselves in a position that they win, they're in. They win the next 4 games, they're in. Regardless if it's the division or if it's the wild card, they control their destiny. But they control their destiny against some pretty good teams. This Sunday's game is the biggest game of the season. We all us Dolphin fans were circling that Chiefs game, being like, this will decide what type of team we are. Are we going to go in and beat the Chiefs, or are they going to beat the crap out of us? And they're coming down to Miami, so we'll see how that all pans out. But that's the deeper dive. And Jason, I greatly appreciate you taking the time to come on and chat with me. And where can my subscribers find you?
Right here in the friendly confines of YouTube, DD Dubs, and I appreciate you having me. It really is truly always a pleasure talking to you. So thanks. It's always, fun to chat Fins, and you are welcome on anything that we do at Fin Maniacs. We have a fun crew of writers and podcasters. We have shows throughout the week. I do a show with a former Miami Dolphin quarterback, Jay Fiedler, called the Monday Morning Quarterback. We just recorded. It is not live. I know we're not in the morning yet. I'm on Honolulu time today, Doug.
Oh.
So the Monday Morning Quarterback will air today, as long as there is some geographical location that they're enjoying in the morning. I'm still okay, but usually it's a morning show.
Before you go, how is it? It's like you're hanging out with Jay Fiedler. I love Jay Fiedler. Not a lot of people like Jay Fiedler. A lot of Dolphin fans don't.
I don't know why. Great guy, competitor, smart. Ask any teammate who's played with him. They'll go to war. You want a guy who would do a Brian Flores type of thing for a player and vice versa? That's Jay Fiedler. And he has done so much for the team. He's the last guy to win a playoff game. Come on now. And if you look back at some of the highlights, you look for a grit warrior. I mean, he's a guy who's throwing lead blocks for Ricky Williams.
Oh, I was just going to bring that up.
Sorry.
That's one of my favorite Jay Fiedler plays, and he even throw the ball. Ricky goes to the left, decides, nah, I'm going to go to the right, and Jay's like, I got you, and takes the defender out.
Who rolls out to the other way and gets out of the way? Not Jay Fiedler. He's going to throw a block.
Jay Cutler would have stood there with his hands in his pocket.
With a cigarette, flip the channel, but Jay Fiedler is out there blocking 300-pound linemen.
But yes, they definitely need to check out you and Jay and all your great stuff at Fin Maniacs. Be sure to go check him out. Jason, this won't be the last. I'm going to have you on again very soon. It's always a blast, and definitely in the off season. But Jason, again, thank you so much for coming on, bud.
Anytime, Doug. Thank you so much. Be well.
Again, it was always a blast to have Jason on. Be sure to comment below. Let me know what you guys think about yesterday's game. Let me know what you guys think about the season so far. What do you think about all this great stuff? And I'm going to get to one of you guys' comments of the day. This comment comes from Scott, and Scott says, comment of the day. Which of the year is more likely? Coach of the year, defensive player of the year, or rookie of the year? It's a very good question. Very good question. And it's a good question because it's 3/4 of the season, and it's a good way to review what happened in the season so far. So looking at this, right, Defensive player of the year, they rarely ever give it to a corner. Rarely ever give it to a defensive player. A secondary player. I think Xavier should deserve it, especially if he keeps staying on the track he's on and getting, he's at 8 interceptions now. Say he gets one more interception for the rest of the season, 12 interceptions. I think he definitely deserves defensive player of the year, but they'll probably give it to like a defensive end who gets like a ton of sacks or something like that. Rookie of the year, the fact that Tua didn't play the full season, I don't think he'll get it. He had a few lackluster games, the Denver Bronco game, the Rams game. They weren't all high and mighty on stat-wise, so I don't think he'll get it because of that. I think they'll give it to maybe a running back, Hilaire, maybe a wide receiver, maybe someone different, but I don't know if they're going to give it to Tua. I doubt it. I don't think they're going to give it to any of the quarterbacks, not even Justin Herbert, not even Joe Burrow, who's unfortunately injured, not even Jalen Hurts, even if he does decide to ball out. But yeah, so I think Coach of the Year, Brian Flores, taking a 5-win team that he tore it down to the studs and now has an 8-4 team going into the last 4 games of the season. I think Coach of the Year seems more likely. You look at some other candidates. You got Mike Tomlinson. He has his team undefeated. Yeah, but they didn't play anyone really great. Neither did the Dolphins, you could say, but they beat the Rams. They beat the Cardinals. They beat some really good teams. You have Andy Reid again, but it's the Chiefs. I feel like you should give Coach of the Year to someone who had to, get past adversity and do really well. Starting 0-2 and now at 8-4, going 8-2 down the stretch. I think Coach Flo should deserve that. So out of all of those, I think Coach of the Year seems more likely. Like I said, Defensive Player of the Year, I think Xavier Howard hands down deserves it, especially if he gets 12 interceptions on the year. But it's just how the league is, and they'll probably give it to someone who has like 14 sacks or something like that. And then Rookie of the Year, Tua hasn't played enough, and he had those 2 lackluster games that I don't think they'll give it to him. But Scott, thank you so much for the comment. Like always, guys, be sure to comment below and put comment of the day. If you want me to pick you for comment of the day, be sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Real quick, throwing that one out there. Check out the Fanatics. Very great website, fanaticsnetwork.com. Check out their YouTube channel. I'm a part of the network. There's a ton of people like Perfectsville, and they have their own podcast. Check that out. Fan to Fan Network, another great website. Has a ton of NFL YouTubers over there. They have articles, writers, all that great stuff. And they do their preview show every Sunday at 11 o'clock on twitch.tv/FanToFan Network and their YouTube channel. But other than that, I will see you guys with the picks video, which will come out Thursday. And then we are breaking down the Miami Dolphins taking on the Kansas City Chiefs, a very, very, very big game this year. But other than that, if news breaks, things happen, you're going to get a video. But like usual, guys, stay classy and fins up.